and welcome to another supercharged episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, coming to you live from the Mile City in Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome co-host over there in Longhorn Country, giving old hook of horns to the old stall cups over there in Big Sky Country, Texas. And, he's representing the Stall Cup Electrical Education, the best online education you could get. And we appreciate everyone joining us every week. We need 2 subs to 400, bro. 2 subs away, man.
Really?
So, steal a phone from your girl and smash that subscribe to the channel, and we'll get those 2. We need 2 tonight, man. 2 subs, and we're there. We're at 400, and dude, that's awesome. We're just right on the roll there. So.
That's interesting because I was looking the other day. I had to look because I have to go. Every time I do this, I have to take and create a new destination feed over on Rumble. I mean, we haven't even been on Rumble long, and I think we're at 34, 35, something like that. It just seems like every week there's more. And y'all over there on Rumble, share over on Rumble to all the electrical groups, people you know over there. You know, we're trying to build that portion up. The YouTube's been building up. Our groups have gotten really large, and because we keep bringing the truth, So,
dude, I'm telling you, we're at 35,000 on the ECD for Awesome Electrician Group. And,
oh, really?
Well, yeah, so it's we got a ton in there, and it's a lot of fun. I've been posting up the myths and the memes and all the stuff over there, and it's just really fun. Really appreciate everyone. Like I say, dude, you just have so much material that it's really cool, and I appreciate you wanting to jump in and us do this together. It's been a lot of fun, and like I say, we have some cowboy jokes, and dude, what the hell?
I was curious. What are we going to be at when February gets here? Will that make 3 years?
I'll be 4, won't it?
4. I think it'd be 4.
I think we started in 20. Did we start in 22?
God, I'll have to go back and look. I think.
Yeah, I think it was 22. Yeah, I think it was 2022.
4 years of doing this, and it's and what's interesting, we don't go out and we don't spend money, for them to go out and promote our show like a lot of these other podcasts do and all that. We just do everything organic. Let it get out there. Y'all, everybody that comes and watches, just get out there, share it with everybody so they can see what we're doing here. We do this for fun. Yeah, we do this for fun, and we like code, discuss code, and it's interesting we're talking about that. Whoever's watching this podcast, I'm gonna, once again, like we did last week, I'm gonna tell you again, you need to share this podcast because we're in the process right now. And it's one thing that you got the 2026 illustrated, and I went in and counted it the other day because I had to write a sales thing up, for putting it on the groups and stuff. We did 281 changes. That's a lot of changes. I guarantee you ain't gonna see any others that did that many. I'm telling you. And now that we're going through the design book, I'm just telling you, we did 281 changes, which is a lot of changes, but it doesn't even scratch the surface of some of the stuff that we're finding out now that we're doing the update on the design book. That like we're looking right now, we're getting into just temporary wiring, and I'm just going to tell you, they completely screwed up Article 590. It's nothing like what it was before. I'm just telling you, this is just one example, but we're going in looking at calculations. They made changes in there, but they took Article 220, moved it to 120. That's just one example. And what they did over in Chapter 8 and Chapter 7, y'all better pay real close attention to that, because a lot of the stuff that was in Chapter 8 in some of their tables and things like that. It's all moved over into different articles in chapter 7. And
Yeah.
I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
There's other,
They're basically calling it limited energy. Like,
yeah.
so basically what they're trying to do, just so everyone knows, they're trying to split it into limited energy, high voltage. We'll have to promote our high voltage live podcast and say high voltage. We can call it high voltage now because they had medium voltage and high voltage. Now they don't really have that. It's just over 1,000 volts. So you have low voltage, high voltage, and limited energy. Essentially, is the three categories that they have now for the 2026. So,
and that's just getting started. I'm they've deleted a lot of stuff that's no longer there. That just it's gone. I mean, y'all better make sure that if you're trying to keep up with what took place in this one, I never ever, because mainly the design books using apprenticeships and things like that, and people just getting learned. But for this cycle, I'm telling you, you better be getting a design book or something so you understand where everything moved. I mean, even when you get into low voltage to high voltage tables and everything, that's all different. I am completely shocked and amazed at how much change took place in this cycle of the code.
so what they're trying to do, they're trying to vamp for this 2029 massive change where they're gonna, like, they say, oh, it's gonna be 30 chapters and some aren't used or whatever they want to do. But I don't know. I think that there's like a tipping point that's getting ready to happen where NFPA is gonna have to make some decisions and be like, do we still want people to buy our code book every cycle? Because like they're talking about making it so many more pages and all this stuff, and you're gonna be paying like $300 for a code book. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that's cool and everything, but it's like, really, what is that for? Why is the reason for that? Why do you have to break this out? And it's really funny because like Ryan Jackson's like, oh well, if I'm bringing medium voltage into a building for like some motors or something, I'd be glad to have all these rules in there. It's like, no, like that's stupid. Like it doesn't change a thing. Like there's nothing different. Like I don't understand why you need the rules all in one article. Like you're doing it's over here you're doing under 1,000 volts. Over here you're doing over 1,000 volts. It doesn't need to be a different article.
Is he talking about utility coming in? Medium voltage
No,
and utility?
he's talking about customer owned, but he's trying to justify the reason why they had to put 1,000 volts and greater in a different article. He's
No,
like,
that's not that. He doesn't know what he's talking
that
about.
article. Like, I mean, you'll hear on that.
Let me explain something here when it gets this. If you go in and you look at,
do you want me to play? Do you want me to?
Well,
want
hold
me to
on
just play the clip?
Yeah, go ahead and play it, and then I'll comment
Okay.
where he once again doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I could stop it at any time, but I think you'll find this interesting, and it's really good insight, stuff that we didn't really know. But he acts like he is every code panel, and he made every change in the code, like the way he acted. Like, just listen. Just stop me.
All right, welcome to my clip of the week. Seems like we have a new one every week. This one is extremely stupid, in my opinion. This is Ryan Jackson's disclaimer and disclosure from his latest video. The opinions in this video are the opinions of Ryan Jackson only. They may not be the opinions of NFPA, the technical committees on which Ryan serves, or anyone else. Text is paraphrased from the code or standard, and although all efforts have been made to ensure accuracy, the viewer should always read the code or standard for true text. Ryan disclaims all liability for any damages or injuries resulting from the use or misuse of this video. The viewer is also expected to research any state, local, or other laws and requirements for which are not covered in the video. So we are going to get started with this clip, and let's go.
Disclaimer mode.
As always, on my slides, underlined yellow text is going to indicate a code change, so it should be very easy to see what changed. I also did some strike-throughs on some stuff that we deleted, so it should be very apparent what changed. Text on my slides is always paraphrased from the NEC. If you're following along the book, the words in the code book are not going to be the exact same on my slides. Obviously, I can't just copy and paste the code and put it into my slides and sell the slides. I mean,
Let me say this. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. That is not correct. They've already had a lawsuit on this, and the NEC is adopted by states and everything. It's a public document at that point. It's already been decided. You cannot take and copy the whole code book and go sell it, but you can take and pull text out of the NEC and use it. I mean, NFPA knows it's in our code change book. It's been there for how many cycles now? Never heard a word about it. The reason is because there's a lawsuit that's already been settled, because it is a public document at that point when people adopt it, and you can use that. Now, there for a long time, was it the state of New York or Chicago, somebody, they had a deal that they worked out with NFPA where they printed the whole book and put their state logo and everything on it, and NFPA got money from that. They gave approval to do that, and that was going a long time ago. I remember my dad talking about it a long time ago. But we've always taken, and I've been to many classes where they take the NEC text, put it up there, and show you what it says. And so for him to say that, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
How do you ensure accuracy in a code change publication if you're not going word for word? I don't get that. Like, don't you have to go word for word if it's accurate? I mean,
I would think so.
I don't know. It's funny. It just gets funnier, man. You'll love it.
I would go to NFPA jail for that.
Oh, dude, so NFPA jail, bro.
My text is always paraphrased
Watch out.
from the code. I do take care to make sure that it's as accurate as it can be, but always consult the NEC for the real requirements. Also, there's going to be a couple of slides, I mean maybe 3 or 4, that have black text. That's commentary for me. You're not going to find that text in the code. Usually that would be like a mathematical example or something like that where it's pretty obvious. So underlined yellow text is going to show where we added some words. Stricken through text will show where we deleted words. So it should be pretty straightforward. Code write changes. We have to talk about the 2029 NEC before we even talk about the 2026, because the 2029, I know that's a million years away, right? But the 2029 NEC is going to be completely restructured. The 2029 NEC will not look anything like what the 2023 or 2026 code looked like, going all the way back into the 40s. We've used the same format since the 40s, 80 years. A lot has changed in the industry.
Can we stop for a second? Okay.
Let's change the definition of outlet while we're there, you know.
Well, they have a thing here, and it was September 19th, 2023 is when this was posted, called Prep Poll Contributor. But it says NEC and other standards no longer protected by copyright. And it goes in and talks about, let's get this last part. The NFPA was one of the parties to the lawsuit. Since the National Electrical Code, NFPA 70 is incorporated by reference into the Code of Federal Regulations, and PICS related up there, it is no longer protected by copyright laws. What standards are you looking for to be able to download to go over this and everything? So they've got a bunch of stuff that you can come down and look here and check and see if you can do that or not. And this one that has this on here, you, from the way it's reading here, yeah, you can do this. Let me look here.
Just another myth
So I
old
was,
Willie's busting over here.
yeah. Well, this is why we do this, because these guys get on here and they say this and this. Here's where it goes in. This is this is the big one. Okay. Um, they're coming in. It went on June 27th, 2003. That's about when I thought it was. The U.S. Supreme Court refused to review the Fifth U.S. Circuit Courts of Appeals ruling that building codes, when acted into law, could be copyrighted. See there? This would indicate, at least in the Fifth Circuit, that all building codes enacted into law are now in the public domain. This would include the National Electrical Code. See there? And that's what I'm telling you. And then they come in here. One of the guys, he wrote in here, he goes, is the NFPA trying to use public domain property to where they would take and create a monopoly? See, that's what you can't do. And then it says NFPA revokes permission to print code as law. So yeah, see that's where you go in. You can't just print the code and go out and sell it, but when it comes public domain, you can use it, and you just can't go sell a book. That's what I was saying. We just played for y'all. Somebody coming in here telling you had to do so and so, and you couldn't do it. That's why he had to paraphrase it, because he didn't want to go into NFPA jail. Well, you're not going into NFPA jail because you don't know what you're talking about, Ryan, like most of the stuff you talk about.
100%.
Okay, go ahead.
Dude,
well, we just proved that. So another lie.
The thing that's funny is that it's like he's trying to hold himself on this moral standard that's like higher than everybody else. Kind of like what you were saying about Paul and Jeremy Weed and all them. They do the same shit.
Yeah, they do.
Code, right? So the code structure itself has not evolved over the last 80 years, and it's probably time that it does. So the 2026 NEC made a lot of changes to make the transition in the 2029 a lot easier. All right, so everybody's talking about the 2029 now. It's just going to be this massively huge change. It is, sure. But a lot of the changes are going to happen in the 2026. In fact, a lot of them happened in the 2023. They weren't that big of a deal. And by the way, I don't think the change in the 2029 is going to be that big of a deal either. Look, it's going to hurt me probably more than it hurts you. I got to rememorize all this stuff, right? So, we're going to go from 9 chapters to probably 30 is the idea, with some extra chapters that aren't used, but at least 20 chapters. By the way, we have a new Annex L in the 2026 that's going to show you what the 2029 will likely look like. Now, I guarantee it's going to change, right? It's not like this is written in stone. But you can look at Annex L and you can have a decent idea of what the 2029 will perhaps look like, at least pretty close.
See, the one thing I want to go into, and we actually covered this as like a myth of the week, and I thought it was really cool. Because I was like, myth of the week, that'll change in 2026. I knew it wasn't going to change in 2026. That's why I knew it was a solid myth. But the thing that's funny about this is that they're bringing up this 2029. Notice how he's saying, like, we did this, we have to change this, And it's really funny because he's like the code people, I guess, But the thing is that he goes, perhaps change. It's perhaps, they still don't know. There's a tipping point in my opinion. There's a tipping point that could happen, because if NFPA, if they just say, nah, we ain't gonna buy that book anymore, that's bad. That's really bad. If they say, nope, nobody's gonna buy a $300 book anymore, and nobody has to buy a $300 book anymore, they're done. I mean, that's bad. So, you guys could paraphrase this. You could send it up to the Standards Council all you want, but that's the truth. That's what the problem is.
I think and I could be wrong on this, but I think there's going to be a lot of states, facilities, and stuff. I think they're going to get a kickback on this. That the people are not going to be happy with what they're doing, and let me explain why. And I used to be on the 70 committee, and I gave it up. I just got too many other things going on. But one of the things that I used to get, and I actually argued this to the group that was there. 3 cycles in a row, they went in and they changed the tables. And I told them, I said, this is why a lot of these facilities and everybody get upset. It's one thing to change them, then maybe 2-3 cycles later you change again, but you do it 3 cycles in a row. Basically, what that looks like to me, you're incompetent at that point. You're just changing to be changing because you find something new. In other words, apparently it wasn't vetted properly. And the reason I know that, because I brought up 2 items and I said, this is not correct. And they said, well, we're passing it anyway. They pass it, then they come back the next cycle and fix what I told them was wrong. And that happened. My dad will clarify this, that I brought that up and I told him, this is the exact reason a lot of these facilities and people out in the industry get upset, because every cycle you just change everything around, and then facilities they got to go in and change all their documentation and everything. Now what's going to happen is you got a lot of facilities and stuff. They reference the National Electrical Code on things that they do throughout their facility. Now you're going to change the whole code around everything and tell them they're going to have to go in and relabel everything. And it's going to get to the point where a lot of these facility states, they're just saying, you know what, we're just not going to adopt the NEC. We're just going to stay on the previous cycle. And I think there's going to be a lot of the pushback on this. I really do. But go ahead.
Going. It's almost done.
In that efforts have been made throughout the 2026 NEC to isolate requirements into 3 major categories. And I actually like this a lot. I think this is going to make the code book better for everyone. It's going to make the code book thicker, and let's be honest, it's going to make it cost more, right? More paper mean more money, but it is going to be so much easier, especially if you're just starting out. So we're going to have 3 major categories, all right? Limited energy systems and equipment. And by the way, we have a new definition of limited energy. So we're talking communications, class 2, class 3, class 4 circuits, low voltage fire alarm, right? Optical fiber communications, coaxial cable, limited energy systems, the stuff that really can't kill you and can't light a fire, all right? So we're going to have articles grouped together for limited energy. And then we're going to have another broad category, what I like to call medium voltage. That's not defined. Some people call it medium voltage, some people call it high voltage. What the code calls it is systems and circuits exceeding 1,000 volts AC or 1,500 volts DC. All right, so if you're doing medium voltage, let's just say you're doing a 12,470 volt customer-owned substation. If you're doing a substation and then you're bringing it into a building and you're going to have, 6,600 volt motors, things like that, it would be kind of nice if all of your rules were in one chapter of the code. Now, yeah, you're still going to have to go to Article 100, right, for definitions. You're still going to have to go to Article 110 for general requirements. But, branch circuits, services, feeder circuits, outside wiring, all of that stuff is all going to be grouped together. So you're either doing limited energy, the stuff that can't really hurt people, or you're doing medium voltage, right, greater than 1,000 volts AC or 1,500 volts DC, or you're doing everything else. And I wish we had a name for that. I know we don't. I don't know what the right name would be.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Anything that's 50 volts or less, those are systems of less than 50 volts. That's not you can call it low voltage all you want, but those are types of systems less than that. Anything less than 1,000 volts is low voltage. Anything over 1,000 volts is high voltage. It's always been taught that way. See, God, man, this upsets me. We're getting people on these code making panels that are going in and they're screwing up the code. That's exactly what's happening. And they're moving stuff around. This is making no sense at all. You want to know what medium voltage is? That's where you get into the utility side. They talk about low voltage, medium voltage, and high voltage. That's where you get your different voltages from on the utility side. And him talking about you got your utility. Let me explain something, everybody watching this. If you have a customer-owned substation, like we do here in Fort Worth, we got Lockheed Martin out there. It used to be General Dynamics. They control that whole thing. All the utility and everything and the way they classify the voltages and everything fall under the National Electrical Safety Code and OSHA Subpart R and Subpart B. This is exactly, we have a publication, probably the only one out there that I'm aware of. You go look at our OSHA high voltage and we talk about the high voltage side, where the utilities, and we also talk about the communication side of it too, where they're on them poles and where they're coming in. We have all that information there, and we explain that as it relates to OSHA. OSHA regulates that. I'm telling you they do, just like they regulate general industry in subpart S and subpart K for construction. This is, once again, people that are on the code making panels, people like Ryan Jackson that are going on there. They're coming on here telling you this, and this, and they say, I wish they'd call it that. I don't know what else. No, it's called a certain thing. It's been taught that way ever since I've been dealing with the code, and now you're trying to change the language. Just like they tried to change the language and explain what an outlet is, and they couldn't even give you a location. What are you going to do now, Ryan? Are you going to change the voltage levels to meet what you wanted to say, just like you did for the outlet? I mean, you were the one first come on and said the outlet was at the disconnecting means. Oh yeah, I remember that very 100%. Clearly. And
I got a screenshot of it.
You and your mob over there at ECD, the Electrical Comedy Department, all started attacking me, telling me it was on the load side. And then I explained why it wasn't. And then y'all went quiet for about 2-3 hours. Then you come back and said, oh, well, it's at the equipment. I said, really? I said, is that rated for a wet location? What the hell's that got 100%. To do with it? Then they come back and said, oh, well, that's a listed and labeled piece of equipment. Oh, wait a minute. Y'all told us the code overrides, so that has to be rated for a wet location. All of a sudden, oh, no, it doesn't apply there. And this is what I'm getting into talking about here. Yeah, you're picking and choosing where you want to apply stuff. You don't know how to use the code and apply it as a whole. And this is...
They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
I mean, what he's saying right here makes no sense whatsoever. I'm calling you out, Ryan. I'm telling you right now, you don't know what you're talking about. You need to go look at and learn what low, medium, and high voltage is, where it is actually explained on the utility side. Trying to bring it over into the commercial industrial side where the NEC applies, you don't do. And we tell you that specifically in the code. If you'll go look at 90.2B5, it'll explain that to you. I mean, this is, man, I tell you, this is bad, folks. This is bad.
All right, calm down. All right, let's go.
Like normal stuff, regular everyday stuff. I don't know. So
normal everyday stuff.
120,
just
240,
normal everyday
277, 480, 377, 347, 600, that type of stuff, right? So 3 main categories. Limited energy, medium.
Let me tell you what everyday stuff is. Let me tell you how the code is actually laid out for people to understand this. Yeah. If you look at Chapter 1, it deals with general requirements. And this is why I have a problem with them screwing the code up, what they're trying to do. When I look at Chapter 2, that deals with your wiring and protection. Chapter 3 deals with your wiring methods and materials. in chapter 4, this is your everyday stuff, Ryan. This is equipment you work on daily. This is your equipment for general use. Okay, this stuff like your receptacles, your lighting, your panel boards, your switchboards, your motors, your transformers, your AC units, all that stuff, capacitors, all that's right there in chapter 4. Then chapter 5 is your special occupancies. Oh, let me rephrase that. Now it's specific occupancies and locations, and that's going to be in the 2026, by the way. And
then guess what? They haven't fixed it in 2029 yet because they went and posted it in NXL, but they have it as special occupancy.
Yeah,
or they still have it as occupancies.
Well, now it's going to be called specific in the 2026. And then when you go to chapter 6, it's specific equipment. Now, let me explain it. That's not everyday stuff. This is very specific equipment that you don't work on every day. Where chapter 4 is equipment for general use. That's stuff that you work on all the time. So for him to say it's just stuff you work on all the time, no, that isn't exactly true. Because I could be working in a oil and gas. All of that is specific equipment that's in there. And that's why I'm trying to tell people, y'all need to listen to the wording of what he's saying here. He's not telling you exactly how to code. And if they're moving all of this around, I'm waiting to be very curious to see how they're going to group all that stuff. Because the way the code was specifically laid out for the way I'm telling you right now. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah. No, I knew this would get you fired up. But the thing that's funny about it is there's a reason that I wanted to show you live with everyone watching, because I love getting a reaction out of you, and you actually have lived it. We've actually talked with Pops live a bunch of times. You just driving around, and me actually, dude, you're totally quiet because you don't know a lot of the stuff what he's talking about, and I'm sitting there learning. You're learning. You know, I've got you in trouble live before. So it's just really cool to be doing this together. We're both willing to learn. These guys already know everything, you know, and they already know everything wrong.
The thing,
so that's my problem.
Bill's playing this stuff. This is the first time I've heard any of it. I'm just reacting as I hear it. It's like a reaction video. You know, these people do. It's a reaction video, and when I'm reacting to something, I'm giving you all these sections. I'm telling you all these different things to go look at. And all you have to do is go look. You will verify what I'm telling you. And, you know, it just, like we were talking about the outlet for a second. I just want to go back to it. When they first put that in, they literally said that the outlet was on the load side of the disconnecting means. Bill has posted many memes out there that show where they were saying that and everything. And I said,
dude, they're still saying it.
Some do. Some of them.
I was shut down over Mike Holtkamp.
Yeah, well, Mike Holt's still saying it, but I mean, he doesn't have anybody writing his publications like he used to. So now, you know, he has to answer on his own. But regardless of that, my whole point behind it is they said it was on the load side of the disconnecting means, and I said, really? I said, well, if I look at the definition of a disconnecting means, it says one or more devices, and I go pick up the definition of a device. I said, you telling me a circuit breaker, a fuse can be an outlet? And they go, well, no, you can't do that. And I said, exactly. So how can the load side? So they switched off of that and went to something else. And Bill will verify this. I argued 4 different points they picked out, and finally they settled on that it was the terminals there at the equipment itself. So I said, okay. I said, if that's true, I said, you're telling me that the utilization equipment has an outlet. That's exactly right. Anybody that knows the code knows that. I said, really? I said, so if I look at 314.27 and I've got a box up there and I go over and hit a lighting fixture, I said, where's the outlet? Or Jeremy said this. Jeremy goes, it's at the lighting fixture. I said, really? I said, well, if that's the case, then why do they tell you have an outlet box there? Oh, there you go, just trying to twist everything around. But it goes back to what I'm trying to say, is they're picking and choosing where they want to place that outlet. You cannot do that.
So I don't know if you remember this, but they actually posted a picture of like a seal type with like 3 wires coming out of it, and they're like, "This is an AC," and this is an AC
wasn't that
outlet.
Fritz that did that or somebody?
Yeah, this is an AC outlet. It's like, no, it's not. That's not an AC outlet. And then they even doubled down on it. Ryan Jackson, all of them were like, "Oh yeah, those conductors that exit the seal tie is your outlet." Remember that? On live?
Was it Collier or one of them? They come in and they gave me the definition of infinite, and I said, whoa! I said, wait! I said, this has got to be the all-time greatest code interpretation I've ever heard. He literally said that the outlet floats in an infinite space. It's just there. That's what they told us.
They're going to give you a measurement in 680, I think it's 22, 21, 20. So it's like
21.
Other outlets need to be 10 foot from the pool edge, but then they're going to be like, oh, it's just wherever.
Yeah, I told him, I said, because I brought that up, I said, it's 10 foot. I said, so I just picked this infinite space where I believe it's at. That's right. I said, you gotta be kidding me. I said, I can't believe you just actually made that statement. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
I think this is almost done. Like, it kind of goes through a little bit.
Everything else, all right? So we're going to take a look at kind of how that comes together here in just 1 second. But just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. 3 major categories of installations in the NEC.
So that's basically the end of it, and basically what I do kind of like that message of it, that they're trying to break it down to 3 major categories, where you have like your limited energy, you have your above 1,000 volts, and then you have your like everything else, which is like under 1,000 volts. I think they could have done it in a lot shorter method. Like, I think they spread it out way too far. In my opinion, just looking at it, I think that they could have condensed it quite a bit. They're totally fine with condensing, let's just say outlet. Let's just say everywhere the outlet applies in the code. They're totally fine having outlet apply to this broad thing that goes everywhere, right? Everything's an outlet,
Mm-hmm.
But then they have to have a specific article telling you where every outlet is. Why? Like, you're totally fine with having just, and it's funny because I heard, so Ryan's doing the 100 days of electrical code changes, which is really funny, right? I actually enjoy, the little short stuff where they talk about it, but he goes, man, you have to be really careful in the code where they say or. Anytime they say and or, you have to really be careful. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, where they say you can protect the branch circuit or outlet? You have to be really careful there? Because you don't.
Or you can protect the load or conductor. Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was just a common practice.
Yeah. So you see where I'm going with it, that it's just like funny how they, like you're saying about them picking and choosing, it's like, oh wow, we have to really be careful about this and or. Okay, cool. Well, now we go do the language exact to where it says the outlet's installed, and then they're like, oh yeah, the outlet's installed when the equipment's installed.
No.
Oh really? So that's
not it says outlets installed for the equipment to connect to it.
Yeah.
That's what. No. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, but I knew you would.
Reading
I knew you would love
hard
that.
Is what they tell you and me, but really the reading is hard for them.
I knew you would love that, and I haven't seen Daniel yet, but we got me, John, and Daniel meme we want to bring up for the meme of the week. I think you'll like it.
I got one more comment.
Okay.
Everybody that started in the code, I remember this a long time ago. what was one of the voltage levels that they told you certain voltage or less, you didn't have to worry about it?
50 volts.
Yeah, there you go. And but the question I always ask people, why is that? Well, and I'm going to do a presentation. I'll do it after I get through with all the code stuff. But I'm going to show you how they determine that 50 volts. And what the 50 volts really got into is let go. When you get shocked, you could let go at 50 volts or less. Anything above that, you couldn't.
And man, we got a big shout out right here for Jack, dude. What's up, brother? First time in.
Appreciate you coming over, brother.
Dude, like, I don't know that I know my shit, but I know other people's shit.
And let me explain something. You know, they get into the energy limited that he's talking about and everything. It was already covered. And let me explain it one more time. And this is why I brought this up right at the first. And I was going.
Oh, dude, he's a plumber? Oh, dude, that's awesome, man. Thanks for joining, man, dude.
Yeah, no
We
kidding.
like all the trades hanging out with us, man.
Oh, sure.
We'll teach you how to wire up a freaking water heater, man. Got you, bro. Got you.
So I was explaining the layout of the code. Well, say I deal with 30 volt or less low voltage lighting systems. That's in 411. Now, let me explain. Why is it in Article 411? Well, the reason is because that's equipment for general use. That's something you work on all the time. That's a daily thing you could work on. That's why it's in Chapter 4. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to take that out of Chapter 4? Now you're going to move it over into the energy limit circuits? You see what I'm saying? And you've got all these different things. Or what are you going to do? Where you have specific type equipment, all that's going to move in different directions now. This is why it's going to be a major problem with a lot of these industries and stuff having to go and change everything that they have within their facility for the standards and documentation that they've put together. This is going to be...
That's a really good point, King James. I really actually kind of want to do that because they actually published the Annex L for 2026 and it shows how the 2029 is supposed to be laid out. And that's what I want to do. It's a challenge for all the viewers that's out here watching this podcast. Go in there to Annex L. All you have to do is go to nfpa.org, go to professionals, code for professionals, look at standards, NFPA 70, go look at next edition, then go look at 2026, and then go to I think it's second draft.
Well, what you want to go to, you'll go to nfpa.org. You go to, there will be a heading up there that says for professionals, and you'll have list of codes and standards. You'll go pick up NFPA 70, and then once you pick that up, it'll come up, and there will be you'll come down, and they'll have current and prior editions, and you got next edition. You want to go to the next edition, and then go to the second draft report.
Draft report.
Yeah, and then you will see down in there be the very last thing they have on there. When it pulls up in the terror view, and you'll see Annex L, and it's the proposed reorganization for the 2029 NEC.
And so what I want to do is I want to go in there and I want to just write down where I think things are wrong. Just specific things, and just be like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And there's a lot. I mean, I just basically just kind of glanced through it, and I found like 10 things.
Well, let me give you an example of something that you're going to see. That this is going to be totally different for everybody that's not used to it. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're proposed there, like we looked at when we started this, Chapter 1, they got the definitions, Article 100, then your general requirements for your electrical installations in 110. And then they took Article 220 and moved it to 120. That's going to be in Chapter 1, and then their energy management and power control that they added this cycle, Article 130. Now, this is going to be one of the bigger changes here. You're used to looking at Article 300 where you're dealing with your general requirements for your wiring methods. Chapter 2 is going to become your wiring and protection for systems at 1,000 volts or less. Okay?
Right.
Article 300 is now going to become Article 200. And Article 310 that deals with conductors is going to become Article 205. And then Article 200 that dealt with your use and identification for your grounded conductors is going to become Article 206, and then they're going to move remote control signaling and Class 1 circuits. That is now going to become Article 208. Okay, and then you'll have your branch circuits and feeders and outside branch. All of that's going to stay the same, dealing with your grounding and bonding. So basically, they took Chapter 3, moved it around over there, and
I thought Chapter 3 went to like Chapter 7.
No, Chapter 3. Well, there's a lot of stuff that's moved around. That's why you got to pay real close attention to this, because when you're looking at this and you get to Chapter 3 of the code, it's going to be wiring and protection for systems that are over 1,000 volts. So all those new articles they added, say like I was looking at grounding and bonding for over 1,000 volts, which is now the new Article 270. That in 2029, that's going to become Article 350.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Article 305 that deals with the general requirements for your wiring, that is used to be Article 305. It's now going to become Article 300. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you, you've really got to look at this and know what they did, because when I get to Chapter 4 and I'm dealing with it, this is where you're going to deal with the limited energy systems. And that's what he's talking about, the 3 levels. Okay, right. Because Chapter 4 is going to pick that up. And what you're going to see, like stuff that I just want to give everybody an idea of what happened in the 2023 or in the 2026 and what's going to happen in the 2029 if they do this. We were used to taking and looking at, say we had our raceways, our cable routing assemblies and cable trays for these limited energy systems. We would deal with the communications portion, and we would look at Articles 800, 805, 810, 820, 830, 840. And they took that and they moved it all over into Article 723. That's what I was trying to tell everybody.
I saw that. And they deleted a lot of stupid, like, to me, I don't understand why they deleted it. Like, they deleted a lot of things.
They didn't delete it. They moved it to Article 723.
Well, no, but they moved certain things to 700. Then they deleted things that I thought was kind of important.
Well,
you know, like what? Why did you delete that? Like,
you got a lot of it didn't get deleted. It got moved to somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
You just got to know where to go. Well, in the 2029, that's now going to become Article 406 instead of Article 723. And then when you were looking at your communication systems where they were outside and they're entering the buildings, you know, and you got your spatial requirements and grounding, all that. Yeah. You had all them exact same articles. Well, in the 2026, they left it exactly the same. The only thing is Article 840 is not there. So now you've got Article 800, 810, 820, and 830. But when it gets to 2029, that's now going to be, which was the old motor article, is now going to be Article 430. So I'm trying to point out to everybody, you're going to have to really know where you're going to get this information. I mean, it has literally moved all around. And as I was going through this, I was like, okay, well, they moved those articles we were used to. Well, if now when you're dealing with your devices and distribution equipment, this is where you got your switches, your wiring devices, switchboards, panel boards, your transformers, capacitors, resistors, and things like that. That now is going to be chapter 12. So when you're looking at switches, guess what that article is going to be in the 2029? That'll be Article 1200.
Wiring devices?
Yeah. Wiring devices will be Article 1202.
Remember how we talked about this, like when we were looking at their expansion and everything, and then one of them was utilization equipment?
Yeah. Well,
guess what they changed it to? They took out utilization equipment.
Well, and that's why I was pointing this out, because that's devices and distribution equipment. Then you go to chapter 13, that's your lighting equipment, and chapter 14 will be motors and motor-driven machinery. So when you're dealing with motors, which was Article 430, that's now going to be Article 1400. And then when you get to your other equipment, like appliances.
1400.
Yeah, then you get to your other equipment. I want you to listen to this. Say you're looking at appliances now, where we were used to going to Article 422, that's now going to be Article 1600. I mean, now this is one. Now they got, when you get into hazardous, and
dude, I'm gonna call it Article 16,000. Because I wanted to seem like that much better.
This is unbelievable. So chapter 18 is hazardous locations, and when you're dealing with class 1, 2, 3, divisions 1 and 2, that's now in 2029 is recommended. That's going to be Article 1800.
Yeah.
I mean, this.
Well, dude, James, there's some that are not used. Like we have to expand it so we don't use it.
I'm simply amazed at this. What they're doing. I mean, when I get into emergency systems, I'm dealing with my life safety and emergency equipment. We're used to going to Article 700. That's now going to be Article 2100.
But there's only 30 chapters, so that's pretty positive.
Well, I think it's good for everybody to hear what we're telling you right now that they're trying to look at doing. And it's just, I'm explaining exactly what they've done. And this is going to be a major, major change. I'm just telling you. Matter of fact, I've already looked at it. And if they do go through with it, we're going to completely restructure the design book. Completely. It's going to be completely redesigned because they basically just, they're doing what they want to do.
So if you restructure the design book, are you going to restructure it for 2029?
Not right now, but
okay.
Let me explain something else about that.
Okay.
We're going through it right now. And there's a lot of stuff that's been deleted that's no longer there. Y'all are going to see that too. And that's why I'm telling you, you better get a publication that knows what they're talking about. Because
dude, Ryan Jackson has one, I don't know, like it's got yellow underlined text just like yours. Like it's
they copied us on that. Yeah, we were the first to do that, and then the code book followed, then all the rest of you instructors decided to follow it and act like you were the ones that actually came up with that idea. One of the things that, you said he's going to do 100 days, he's going to do 100 changes. This goes back to what I was trying to tell everybody. Y'all need to listen to me. Most of the code change publications are going to come out. They're probably going to do 100, 125 changes. You're not going to see much more than that. We've done 281, and the reason we had to do so many is because of how many changes there are. And everything is fully illustrated and explained. There were so many changes that when we went back and we did our final edit on it, it took me 4 days to go through and make all the changes, upload them and everything in the illustrations because of all the section changes. When we put the book originally together, we're just writing down, putting the sections, because we know them off the top of our head. Then we went back and checked. Oh, hell, they moved that. They moved this. They moved that. I mean, y'all better get you a publication that's showing you where all these new sections are. And especially when it comes to 2029. I mean, this is unbelievable.
So just to keep everyone in the loop, it doesn't matter how many code changes the stall cubs have. The state of Colorado electricians are going to get whatever they are, you're going to get 100% because of me. Because I worked really hard to make sure I wasn't get gypped on code changes anymore. So I know you like to just try to avoid like the little, elephant in the room, and just say, oh, I didn't gyp you on any code changes, but you're like, I only did what was required for Colorado, but just to let you know, everyone who buys a Colorado continuing education, it doesn't matter if it's Colorado, Wyoming, whatever, you buy a state continuing education exam, or it's a continuing education package, whatever it is, whatever you call it, you get the full code change publication, and I did that for you. I am for the people. I'm for the electrician. I busted my ass to make sure King James stays honest and you guys all get your code change publications. But the thing that's so cool is King James knew where I was coming from, that he only did what the state required, and he did like the code compliant whatever the state was, like Colorado, I think it's only 4 hours. But in all actuality, we all are code nerds, and we want the whole package. We want to all hang out and talk code and hang out with King James and talk code, and that's the whole reason we want to do it, is because you're a badass, bro, and that's cool.
Well,
it's cool that you want to do that.
What I'm finishing up right now, 70. We're trying to get it with all the new illustrations. I'm hoping to be done here about end of September. Right after I finish that, I start on getting everything ready for state licensing. And the first state is going to be Colorado, because I know y'all are due next September. So I'm going to get that ready and get 24 hours and submit to the state and everything. Once I get everything submitted and approved, then I'll, of course, put it on, let everybody know, go to all the groups and let you know it's there. But like Bill was saying, it's one thing you're going to have that there, but I'm also going to have another that has the publication in there that you get it also. So you'll get the publication with it and everything. It'll be like a group thing. So I'll keep it separate from the course itself. And then you'll go through the course. It'll have all the video. It'll track up to 24 hours. Once you're completed, you'll have your certificate and you submit to state and you're done. So
nice.
We're going to get that, and then I'll be working on other states right after that, getting approvals. And you're probably going to see by next summer, we're probably going to have at least 10, 15 states that we've gotten approval from and everything. And I'll be sending it out to all the groups and everything. And it'll be cheaper than the competition. And plus you get the code change book.
So the big thing that I loved about the way King James does it is once you completed it, he sends you like a little award, and I remember I thought this was really cool because you had like all your little awards, like different things for like Journeyman, Colorado, different, like you had different emojis for like every different state, every different thing. And I thought that was really cool. When you sent me that email, I was like, dude, that's cool. Like nobody else does that.
They call it gamification.
Yeah.
It's just a little extra perk I put in there, and I create the little icons and stuff that go in.
Yeah, but it was cool because it kind of makes you feel a little special. Like, you're just like, oh, you completed the course for Colorado, da-da-da, and it just gives you a little medal and shit and says, oh, wow, Willie, Snyder completed Journeyman 24 hour, for whatever. But then what's so cool is when Colorado comes and like tries to audit you for your 24-hour things, you're like, check it out. And you have that little screenshot on your phone. Like, it's really cool. Like, I was waiting for somebody to audit me on that. and be like, hey, I want to show my medal because it's really cool.
I,
And
it's
I like
interesting.
that.
Let me show something here. Let me pull this
Okay.
up because I want everybody to see something here that's actually
I want to
pretty
see my
cool.
gamification. Can you show my gamification?
Yeah, I probably can do. I can show mine.
All
Okay.
right.
Now let me explain what we have here. Let me put this on full. All right. When you come to the page right here, you'll see up here we got the 2026 illustrated discount code if you want to get this. But I'm just going to go to this one because we're here and I want everybody to sort of see it. So when you come, well, you can't do it here because I've already paid for it. Okay. Well, I didn't pay for it. I just signed my own. But you come up here, you go to your profile, just to give you an example. Now, as he was talking about, these are your gamifications here: active member, extrovert, and
Yeah.
I'll have them on there when you come across. You take your state license and all that stuff. So
True.
you can see I have all this on here. I just put these on mine. I've got and that's another thing, that NEC Deathmatch is about to be all updated, getting ready for the final push through the final portion of the year. And I'm going to be going to all the groups, anybody that wants to join. Now, when you come over here and we go to the illustrated code changes, it takes me over here to the main page. And when you come over here, I want everybody to see this is the difference between our learning management system and everybody else's. You can come in here and you can go to whichever part you want here. And I can tell you part 1 is chapters 1 through 3 and part 2 is 4 through 8. Then also have them as individual chapters where you can review them. But I'm just going to go to part 1 to start off with. So it'll take you over here. All of this is set up here. Here's the first 2 parts. If I want to do individual chapters, I click here and all of that's set up. All right. Now, the thing that I think everybody will like here is it's one thing that you can come over here and you can scroll through here. You can come through and go through the chapters. You can go through and go to say, I'll just say I want to go to chapter 1. I click on it. Come to chapter 1, all your topics are here to go through. Everything's quick. If you don't want to do it through the full publication here, go to chapter 1 and just do it through there. We got it both ways. Okay. Now that's cool. The illustrations, everything looks fantastic. I mean, we really did a lot of work on this. Now, the thing I like more than anything is if you're with the state of Colorado, you can come over here and you can click learners, and anybody that's purchased this at this time, you can connect with them and talk back and forth with them. Okay. So if say you told your inspector, hey, we want you to get on this side here, you can converse back and forth with them with a change that took place here, if they agree with it or not.
True.
See what I'm saying? And then if you want to take and come in here and write something about a certain change, whatever you want to do here, you can discuss everything that's here. You can create polls, pictures. You can mention somebody. I mean, just do whatever you want to do. But the reason we put it together like this was for people to be able to interact with each other on certain changes that took place. And this specific thing that's over here in the path that's built in and all this will be with the Colorado course. Okay.
Yeah. So just to emphasize that kind of thing that happened in state of Colorado, we had 210.8F went through for the 2020, and like they had like I don't know what you call like a walk back or something after they killed like a bunch of old people.
Well, and that's a good question. So if something like that happened and you talk to the inspector at state, other people might know. You can come in there and say, hey, I talked to the state inspector, everything. They said they're not enforcing 210.8F. You can communicate that back and forth with people.
He basically said, like, that decision's been reversed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really? I was like, where can I find that? And he's like, it's done. It's done. Like, we're not arguing it, you know? So it just goes to show that the code making panels are trying to push this language through and get people to interpret it a certain way. And then you go to the AHJ level and they're like, nah,
Nope.
dude, we ain't doing that. But, I mean, dude, we had a lot of incompatible equipment in this building. And, like, this is a customer that, like, already bought the equipment. They're already moving it in. We already have to wire it. Like, if it's incompatible and it doesn't work on a, you know, I don't know what you would call it, like a dual function AFCI, GFCI breaker,
Mm-hmm.
then we can't do that.
That's right.
There's nothing we could do. We have to put it on a thermal mag. And the thing is, like, that's what I submitted to the Standards Council. I was like, okay, so if AHJ rules that there's no outlet installed, is that a safety violation? Is there anything safety that's violated?
Yeah.
Because I say no. I say there's no safety violated because there's no outlet there. You know, like, I say that there's no hazard to personnel. There's a hazard. There is a hazard, but it's not like Eaton and the breaker manufacturers want to tell you that there's a hazard and it's a real hazard. And you said it straight up. You're like, that's fear mongering.
That is.
And I feel that that's what they're doing. They're fear mongering to be like, there's this hazard that you guys have to worry about, when in all actuality, that's a low risk installation.
Well,
in my opinion.
And the other thing is, when you disagree with them, they want to tell you that you don't care about safety, you know,
True.
and that is not true. And
True.
What I do care about is you providing the documentation and information to why you had to do that, instead of, you know, and you know what gets me more than anything, and we talked about this last week, and Jesse Duvea or whatever his name is, he goes, Bill submitted that and he didn't have the technical documentation or merit in there. I don't know why they would do this. And I was like, oh, what? You're complaining about that now, but you were perfectly okay with it when they put 210.8F in and they had no technical merit to do that on the AC unit. And this goes back to what I was saying. You can't just pick and choose.
We 100% covered that last week, where I was like, this was totally fine for the AC units. Totally fine. They had no problem. But now all of a sudden I'm screwing up the code. You know, like, to me, that was like, what? Like, I don't care. Like, if I'm screwing up the code, for all you guys out there, text me, message me. You can message me on all these different social media. Tell me how I'm screwing up the code, man. You know, like, you know, Paul, email me. Email me, Paul. Tell me how I'm screwing up the code, dude. Because Paul's a freaking ghost, man. He's scared. You know?
Well, you know, this is what they do. You know, and people have heard me say this. These CD boys are the mob. If you disagree with one of their idols, Ryan, Mike, any of those, or Paul, they attack you. And they call you every name in the book. And, you know, I mean, they even attack, they go, oh, your publications suck, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, really? I said, well, I'll tell you what.
Guess what? They're freaking #1 selling compared to Mike, Ryan, all the other publications. So why are you worried? You know, like that's the thing that pisses me off about them. They don't want to look at none of the facts. They just want to spew out hate.
Well, it's like I told them. They were saying, I said, they told me, oh, these other posts. I said, why don't you post something from one of them? I'll post something from ours, and let's do a comparison. I said, matter of fact, just to make it fair, pick out their very best. Oh, nothing. They just started saying, you suck, blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, yeah, that's what you do when you ain't got nothing to back it up. Start the name calling.
I just want to prepare you that it's coming. Like, I know you've been waiting a long time, but you just have to be prepared for when it does come. You know, like you just don't have, you just can't sit back and, you just can't sit back and wait. Like you have to be like prepared to be like on your toes for when they do have that thing that compares better than yours. Honestly, all you guys out there in the electrical field, I haven't seen anything better than King James' material. King James' dad is the best in the business. I've learned so much from you guys in the last 4 years. You wouldn't even believe. And you guys have learned stuff from me. You know, like we all are. It's a learning process from everyone. It's not just a one-way street. You know, we all learn from everyone.
I'll tell you this: everything that I do, there's nobody more demanding on themselves than me. I'm always pushing to be better at what we do. Make it better.
Sure.
Make it better. I'm always at. Well, I figured out this when we were doing the code change book. I figured out how to take and get the illustration size to match the text size. That the body text that's in there. And when all the new publications that are about to come out, you're going to see conformity wise, everything almost matches exactly. I mean, I put a lot of time. There's a couple here and there we can't get it exactly right, but it's pretty close because the illustration has so much information and it's too high. But it was all based on width, I figured out. And like we're doing right now, we're doing the 70E. And I did the first chapter, and Dad was looking at it, and he goes, man, this looks fantastic. He goes, everything looks the same. I said, yeah. I said, it took me a while. I said, that's from the code change book. So everything we learned a couple of coloring schemes and a couple other things that will be changed when we get to the rest of the books. We're going to update those to match. And we're using a little bit different font in the illustrations because it shows up better and it lines up better. But, you know, that was after about 20 different tries with different fonts to get it right. Okay. And, but one of the things we're always trying to do is make it better, get better, make it better.
Dude,
and
100%. Like, if you're my apprentice out there and I just gave you a code book and it already has tabs in it, you better be doing your homework tonight. But the thing is, that's so funny is I love giving apprentices my old code books because I'm like, go look up this code, go look up that code, go look this up. And then they learn and they are like, wow. They're like, I didn't know. Like, we're sitting there looking at surge protected devices for the building, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where's that required? Where's that required? Where's that required? Where's that required? You know? Like, there's like 3 or 4 of them, you know? And I'm like, where's that required? Where's that required? You know? Where's that required by code, you know?
Yeah,
and
make
it's so
them look.
funny. And it's funny because, like, even the like, top dudes at the company, like, I just ordered Wrap to one line. I don't know what it does. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know. You know, and you're like, hey, is that required? Is that not required? Is that required? Is that required? Is that not required? You know, but the whole thing is, like, you look at all this equipment, like, doing one line as long as I've done. I love it. I love doing one line because I know, like, hey, the code requires that, code doesn't require that. Hey, the code requires that, code doesn't require that. But at the same time, it's like, why did they order that? It's wrong size, it's wrong thing, it's wrong entry, it's wrong this, you know, like there's so much wrong stuff. It's like, that's what makes me valuable at my company because I'm like, nah, that ain't gonna work. Like, send that back to the factory, you know, like we're gonna have to get a different model. They're like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, we can't enter like next to bus bars or whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. They're like, what? Enter next to bus bars? You're like, look at the print right here. You can't do that, you know.
And that's why you study the code. So,
true.
And like Bill's trying to tell all y'all, you become more valuable when you know what you're looking at. I mean, it's one thing to go out and troubleshoot and install and all that, but as you start wanting to move up in your career, you want to become a foreman or even open your own business or something, or be a supervisor, you got to learn that stuff. And
Sure.
like we have one guy, he studied, he worked for the Department of Energy, and he studied out of our stuff, and he bought all of our books. And he was studying the 70E in compliance with OSHA also, because we have the OSHA portion in there. Then he went in and he studied Subpart R and Subpart V as its relationship to the National Electrical Safety Code, got all that down. And then he started working on all the electrical and everything through the design book. And when they got ready, they were looking to hire him. They gave all these people tests on all these subjects. He kicked everybody's rear end, and then he had us come in teaching for him everything. And he said, I'm still picking up a lot. He goes, but the reason I got this job was because of you guys and y'all's publications.
100%. Like, that's what I like. That's what I like about doing this podcast is the correlation, like making people realize that we're not against safety. Like we advocate safety.
Sure, we do.
And the thing is that, like, the one thing I always tell, like, when the safety guys come around, I'm like, what is the most important part about safety? It's knowledge. It's knowledge of, like, why you're safe, how you're safe, how you're safer. Like, you could put on, like, 10 harnesses and get on a lift, and you're not any more safer. Like, you could go put on, like, 2 harnesses, and you're not any more safer. You don't even need a harness in the first place, So, to me, knowledge is power. And that's the whole reason why I want to do that's why I love doing this podcast. It's so much fun. Like, there's so many people tuning in. I want to give a big shout out to your dad over there, and he'll see it and he'll love it. But the whole thing is that, dude, your dad is like the coolest freaking dude on the planet, and he understands it. He gets it. He's like, dude, if you are knowledgeable electrician, you are safer on the job site.
That's right.
So for these guys to sit there and say, oh man, if you're not calling that an outlet, you're an unsafe electrician. That's bullshit. That's wrong information, and that's actually detrimental to the electrical industry.
I agree.
And that's what we're trying to push, is to be like, no, knowledge is power. The more safe you are, the better. And the thing is that if you're intelligent and you know what's going on with the circuit, and you're like, oh, dude, this circuit has this much voltage. Like, dude, I literally, honestly, James, I want to teach a class on voltages. Like, your voltage reading. And be like, if you're reading this voltage, what's going on?
Sure.
If you're reading this voltage, what's going on? If you're reading this voltage, what's going on? Dude, I had one where I read a voltage reading, and it was under load, and then I killed the disconnect, and it was normal, and I was like, problems right there at the utility. And the utility was arguing with me. The utility was like, nope, it's not our problem. I'm like, it's in the utility. I was like, it's right there. I was like, that's the problem. And they're like, they argued with me for like an hour. And I'm like, no, dude. I was like, no, the problem's right there. The problem's right there. I was like, I can't fix it. I was like, the problem's right there. And they're like, all right, we'll send a technician out. I was like, all right. Technician shows up. We open up the meter. Because they wouldn't even let me pull their meter.
It's interesting. I don't give a quick story, and then we'll get back, because we're already almost getting close to an hour and a half. But
yeah,
I got called out. I just got back from out of town, and I'm not going to tell who it was, but a guy called me. They had 3 engineering firms out there. They had a lot of sensitive electronic equipment. They were blowing boards and stuff. And he said they've been working on it for 4 months, couldn't figure out what was wrong. And they had oscilloscopes out there trying to check everything. And this guy called me. He said, and it was down in Houston, that's all I'm going to say. And I said, I get in tonight. I said, I'll get up and I'll drive over. I'll be there around lunchtime. So went down there, drove down there, and we went had some lunch and stuff, and come back, and I have all these clearance and stuff, so I could be able to go in. And we go in there, and they overgrounded the system, and they were picking up currents. Instead of going back to one point, they were picking up currents from all over the plant because they set a new grounding system over here and then took it back over. And basically the chassis and frames was what was coming the nearest to ground. So I walked over there and I said, what we're going to do, I said, we're going to take all this. I said, we're going to isolate this, and then we're going to take this back over to the grounding system. And I said, I'll take care of it. These engineers, what? You don't know what? No, we've been checking this. And the guy that was there, the guy that was over everything, he said, look, he said, y'all been working on it 4 months and hadn't figured it out. He said, this guy is an expert in the field. Said, he's telling us this is what we need to do. We're going to do it. And so we're sitting there, and I'm talking to one of the engineers out of there. And he said, what's your name again? I said, James Stalkup. And he goes, one that writes publications? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, well, he goes, I didn't know your last name was Stalkup. And so he walked over, he goes, this James Stalkup, started introducing me, and so he even had my publication there. And it made me sign it and all of that. I was like, okay. So they put it back.
I'm still waiting on the original code book autograph from you guys. You said you do it a long time ago.
That's 87. But 97, I don't remember. But 1897, yeah. And so we took it back to one point, and guess what? They quit blowing boards. And that guy that was over it, he said, anytime we have any more problems, he said, instead of dealing with these yahoos, he goes, you get him out here. And I ended up going out there 2 more times. They were having problems helping them fix it. But but the reason is I had knowledge. I'd been dealing with stuff like that. And where I really learned grounding and bonding was from our publication and all the notes and everything we have in there. And we talk about that kind of stuff. So, even when we deal with the utility side, we get in and talk about that. We get into all the different type of grounding methods they use around the poles, buck wrap grounds, all that stuff. We tell you about all that stuff. So that's why you want to make sure you're taking and using a publication that gets you in that right frame of mind. And as Bill will tell you, when you look at our publications, we may be telling you something, but we'll have an NEC loop there, and there's other stuff you may need to look at. Nobody else does that. We're the only
I would 100% tell everyone that the Stalkups look at all the different codes and standards to make sure, like I say, to me, honestly, it's the best publications that I've seen in my, career. And the thing that's so cool is that all these guys are trying to like rip us down, rip you down, everything like that. And it's like, I don't know why.
Well, that's why, because they're simping for Ryan and knocking all of them. So naturally they go after, and if you look, there's only one name they go after, the Stalkups. They don't go after any of the others because they know theirs ain't any good. But the Stalkups specifically, they come after and call us every name you can think of.
They actually renamed me Billy Ball Cups, and it's like, all right, whatever, But the thing is, like, oh, that's because it's just jealousy, right? You know what I mean? Like to me, honestly, I'm actually honored to be, involved with the Stalkup name. And to me, honestly, I think we need to go to the meme and move on. We're already at.
Yeah, we ain't going to be doing topic of the week this week. I can tell you that.
All right. We'll have to do a big topic next week.
We will. All right, let's do meme.
All right. Dude, we have me.
I threw that in there because of y'all 3 with the neutrons through that paddleboard there.
Dude, me, John, and Daniel all say loose neutral. Like if you say that you have an electrical problem, but we're going into the myth of the week.
Yep, let's go ahead and get it going.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
All right. Well, I don't know where Bill went. He was there. All right. Well, the myth this week that we're looking at is dealing with the transition fitting. And this is getting into the accessibility of it. Okay. And Bill asked a question that was on his myth of the week. And what he stated here was, when you have your transition fittings, are they required to be accessible after installation unless listed for concealed location? And then he provided a nice transition fitting here where they were transitioning over. Now, when you go in and you look at this, I put two sections here basically. And what I decided here is where you're really getting into it is going to be the third paragraph in 300.15, and then F is where it gets into the fitting. But what I like to point out here is they talk about where you have the wiring method, and if it's conduit, it's tubing, type AC cable, type MC cable, type MI cable, or your non-metallic sheet cable or other cables. What it says here, you have a box or conduit body. It tells you it shall be installed at each outlet point, switch point, conductor splice point, conductor junction point, conductor termination point, and then this is the one here, wiring method transition point or conduit pull point, unless otherwise specified in 300.15A through L. Okay, now we got that out of the way. And I like to point something else out here. You know, this also got into where we talked about they were getting into dealing with an outlet. And they say it's a point on the system. And this is where you get into these points. And one of the arguments I had on this is I used to say, if I go over to an AC unit and I make my connection there at the termination, I always said that was a termination. And right here, they're talking about a conductor termination point. And I asked this before of them. I said, well, give me an example where a conductor termination point is. Well, this is a good example of that. And then if you go down and look at the fitting, what does it say? A fitting identified for the use shall be permitted in lieu of a box or conduit body where conductors are not spliced or terminated within the fitting. And then it says, which is a question he asked, the fitting shall be accessible after installation unless it's listed for the concealed location. And I actually saw some put false. And I was like, oh, you might want to come over and look at this, because he literally says unless listed for concealed installation. And then if I look at this right here and I look at 300.14F, it tells me, no, that statement is true. And 300.15F clarifies that.
Dude, sorry about that. My freaking dogs had a little jailbreak. I had to go take care of.
No worries.
But no, it's really funny because like Jeff Bowers was like, this is mostly false or mostly true or whatever he said. And it's like, oh, really? So you guys want to be like black and white on the code, and then all of a sudden you could just say it's mostly true or mostly false, whatever. I thought it was just a blanket statement that just had to be true or false.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the whole reason that I designed these myth of the weeks the way I designed them, because it's either true or it's false. It's not mostly false or mostly true or anything like that. And I was like, oh, so you guys can just pick and choose, like, whenever you guys decide to change something, whatever you want to do. And that's the number one reason why I do these Myth of the Weeks. Because I want us to be 100% clear on what this is. So go back to that picture again, James, if you will.
Yep.
The Myth of the Week picture. Yeah, so this is, per code, this is a violation. So you have a PVC male adapter that's listed for rigid fittings. You have a rigid coupling that's going on there. That's listed, so technically 2 parts of it are listed, but now the EMT connector is not listed to thread into anything. The EMT connector is only listed to be used with a lock ring. So there's no way that you can make this a listed transition fitting. There are maybe listed transition fittings that go from like PVC to EMT, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different transition fittings I don't think they make. But to me, I think the only way you could really do this legally is to have a PVC male adapter that threads on with a listed EMT to rigid transition fitting, and then that would be listed for concealment. You could obviously see this is going to be buried behind drywall.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me when I was teaching for NFPA, they had a question that they asked, and they went to all these different type of wiring methods. And of course, you're limited how much you can put in each one, the size conductors and everything. And they had to figure out, based on the different conduits that it was going through, how many conductors could be pulled through. And they go, nobody actually does that. And I said, no. I said, but what they're trying to do is get you to realize you have to use all the tables and everything to figure out the maximum amount of conductors that could be installed in that raceway.
True. And to be honestly, do I think this is a code violation? Hell no. This looks solid. Like I was coaching the apprentice that did this, and everything's tight. It's all made wrench tight. You know, like I say, is there any way we're not going to get the conductors through there? No. Like, if we have to bust the drywall open to get conductors through there, I guess that's what we have to do. Typically, the reason I think that this reference was written was for the flex.
Yeah.
It was for when you do like a flex transition. Like, dude, I had like the most nightmare flex transition. Like, it was something like this. And then they did flex. And then they changed over to EMT, like, through the wall.
Right.
And it was such a nightmare. Like, I was trying to push the fish tape through there. It was so hard. And somehow I got the fish tape as far as I could. I hooked it with another fish tape, and I pulled it out. And I pulled out 20 foot of fish tape, and the other fish tape on the other side didn't even move.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, whoa, I've never seen that. Like, it blew me away. Like, I was like, I think I got it hooked, you know? And these guys are like, nope, fish tape ain't moving. You don't got it hooked. And I'm sitting there pulling it. I'm like, dude, I got it hooked. I think I got it hooked. I got it hooked, you know? And they're like, nah, you don't got it hooked. You don't got it hooked. It's not moving on this side. And all of a sudden, I'm like, dude, I got it. And they're like, dude, this ain't going to work.
Yeah.
Like, no, I got it, you know? And they're like, no, you didn't get it. But, no, it's really cool to have this as the myth of the week, because the reason I wanted to do this is because a lot of times what we do is we go from like rigid conduit to seal tight, and people are like, oh, I just put a RMC, rigid coupling on there, and then just screw your fitting in there, you know?
Yeah.
And that's actually a code violation, because the listed design of an RMC coupling is to join 2 pieces of RMC conduit.
Yeah.
So that's all it's listed for. It's not listed to do anything else. then when you thread something else in there, like when you look at the listing of a seal tie connector, a seal tie connector is only listed to thread in. It's only listed with a lock ring. It's not listed to thread into anything. So, like that's a big thing. Like when everyone's like, "Oh, what's up with this GRC thing?" You know, they've asked me this on the job site. And they're like, "What's up with this GRC thing?" I'm like, well, technically that flex connector, that seal tie connector, that EMT connector, all these connectors, they're only been tested to be used with a lock ring. So if you're not using a lock ring and you're just threading them into something, that's technically a code violation.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to use EMT connectors into conduit bodies or bell boxes or all that stuff. Like none of that is listed.
Yeah.
So we're trying to work on that, and we'll see like with the code standards and stuff. But I'm trying to be like the Ryan Jackson and just go, well, we didn't want to do that because it hasn't been tested. But you know, it's just really funny because didn't you love that? Didn't you love that about his statements? How he's like, we did this and we did that. We did this and we did that.
We didn't do
like,
anything. You know, I'm not going to get any more. You know what he's talking about.
No. Awesome. Well, let's go into, what do you want to do, Willie Quiz?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and kick off Willie Quiz.
All right. All right, so awesome. Thanks so much, Adam, for making me that sweet intro. So cool. Dude, this is actually a request from King James, so hopefully he ends up winning. And I haven't seen Daniel. Was it already Shark Week? I didn't even know.
Yeah, he hasn't been on yet.
Yeah. So in Avengers number 1, 1963, Loki was the reason the Avengers first assembled. But which specific chain of events did Loki set in motion to manipulate his heroes into clashing? You'll know this, James. A. He impersonated Odin and sent Thor to Earth, causing Hulk to be mistaken as a threat. B. He created an illusion that tricked Hulk into destroying a railroad, luring Thor into battle. C. He mind-controlled Iron Man, sending him against Hulk. D. He enchanted June Foster, forcing Thor to confront him and attracting the others. E. He pretended to be Thor, and they all believed it. Good luck, everyone.
Well, I know it had to be him luring him to fight the Hulk, because I remember Loki thinking the Hulk could beat Thor. So
True.
I don't think it had anything to do with Iron Man. And it's one of the first two, but I think I remember something about him, because the reason it had to do with him tricking the Hulk's what I remember more than anything.
Yes.
So I'll go with B. I think he tricked the Hulk. I didn't remember it as destroying a railroad, but I think he tricked the Hulk. It wasn't the Hulk did something that caused Thor to go into battle with him. I remember that, but I didn't remember the railroad. But I think that's what
Yeah.
it is. I think it's B.
All right. So let's see if we have the drum roll. You are correct. The correct answer is B. If Daniel was here, he would have answered B. He just texted me, said he answered B. So we have a tie game with Daniel as answer B. All right. Question number 2. Before becoming a founding Avenger, which character wasn't actually present for the team's initial formation, but later became retroactively recognized as their founding member? Was it A, Black Widow? Was it B, Hawkeye? Was it C, the Hulk? Was it D, Captain America? Or was it E, Iron Man? Good luck, everyone.
All right. I think this question's wrong
Okay.
with the answers. Because what I remember was the Hulk, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and the Wasp is what I
Okay.
think the founding members were. They
Okay.
were the founding members. Then later on, you had Hawkeye and Black Widow come on. They wasn't the founding members.
No,
Those were
it's
the
like it's like supposedly the leader, like the person that founded the Avengers. So
well, that's what
I
I'm
think you're
saying. The first
I think you're reading into it wrong. That like like somebody on this list is a founding Avenger. They were becoming a founding Avenger, but they were not actually part of the group originally. But then later they were like known as a founding member.
if I was going to pick one, because I remember later Hawkeye and Black Widow becoming founding members, it had to
Yeah.
be Captain America. D.
Hmm.
It's D or A. Because Hawkeye was before Black Widow was.
True. King James goes 2 for 2. The answer is D, Captain America. Like, yeah, Captain America was not part of the
Yeah.
original group, but then later they were like, oh, he's a founding member. So it was like it kind of messed up the story a little bit.
Yeah, because what I remember the first comic when they come out and they did the Avengers, it was the Hulk, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and the Wasp were the original founding ones, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. All right. Hawkeye once quit the Avengers by leaving only a short.
You don't have to
bitter
read this, and
note.
I know this, and it's B. I'm sorry, C. I'm sorry, C.
So, is it B or C? B or C?
C.
So you said B originally. So
Yeah, I meant to say C.
So B is your final answer?
No, C.
You are correct.
Yeah.
The answer is C.
I definitely remembered that one.
Yeah, so I knew this was easy for you. All right, so question number 4. What unusual condition did the Scarlet Witch and Vision's twin children originally suffer from? Leading to a huge reaction years later. A, they aged super speed. B, they were fragments of metaphysical soul. C, they had no physical bodies, only energy projections. D, they were squirrels Shapeshifters. Yeah, shapeshifters in disguise, or E, they were immortal. Good luck, everyone.
Well, what I do remember, I remember Miss Vito. Uh, they were fragments of soul, so I'm gonna go with B. But I also remember that as long as she believed, she projected them.
Yeah.
If she didn't believe it, then they didn't have the kids. But it was also fragments of his, so it's either B or C. But I'll go with B.
You are correct, and so King James goes 4-0 tonight. Like, I knew that if you picked the topic, you would get it, dude. It is just so lucky Daniel's not here, like crushing you. All right, so question number 5: in the 1980s,
I know it.
Storyline,
It's
Under Siege.
It was the Masters of Evil. That was like one of the, I guess, a year after in the comics that the Masters of Evil, they were the ones that, and I still call bullshit on that. They couldn't have beat them, but it was the Masters of Evil.
King James gets the first win in like 6 months because Daniel didn't show up. It did have no competition. So King James just automatically just wills himself to victory. And congratulations. Daniel didn't show up and you got a win. So first time Daniel didn't show up and first time you got a win. So
I was pretty confident on those.
Yeah. Well, you picked a topic, and I tried to like make it easy for you, you know, like so. I put the stare down a little bit, you know. I put the, you know, I made sure you had like that little couple low steps, so you could get up there quick. But no, it's cool. I appreciate you being such a good sport. Oh, well deserved victory for King James. He deserves the victory, and well deserved pickle shot for Adam. We would love to have Adam come back and join us. It's really fun. Adam picked the Canadian topics, and King James absolutely does not know Canadian topics, so makes it really fun. He obviously knew the topics tonight, so.
Oh yeah. All right, let's throw down tool of the week. Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by the Christians Only Tool Review.
Alright, so the one this week is really cool. A lot of people, King James has brought this up before, that you have like a lot of these code guys out there that say, oh man, it has to be like identified a certain way. This is kind of cool. Like, they have these new markers out there called UPAs, and this is, I think it's by Klein actually, but you could just put it out there and just label it whatever you want. We've actually covered this before, how much of the conductor you have to label, as far as, you know, what, you know, length of conductor needs to be labeled. That actually, what is shown in this picture is like perfect amount. Like, you don't need to do any more than that. Like, that's identified. But it's kind of cool because I actually used these recently in the last couple days, and it was really nice because when you have just all black conductors, it's really nice when you could just throw a marker on there, a paint marker on there, and you can just have that label on there, whatever color you want. I don't really like that color blue. Like I call that like a baby puke blue or something, but I don't like that color. Like I like it a little more dark blue or whatever blue. But at the same time, it's really fun to, have these tool reviews, actually use these tools. Is this really a tool? Maybe. I don't know. You could say maybe it's not. Maybe it is. But I don't know. To me personally, I think it's really cool to have a whole freaking pack out of these markers and just label the conductors whatever color they are, whatever phase they are. A lot of times what we come into is we want to label them like switch legs, And
It's very rare you put something on there. I've never seen that before. How fast does it dry?
within like a couple minutes, they're actually at what they call a fast drying marker.
Okay.
So
I've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, where we get into arguments with it is where they're like, "Oh, well, we have a multi-conductor cable with a neutral in there,"
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, "Is it a neutral, or can you just re-identify it as a ungrounded conductor?" And then they're like, "Oh, well, you can't do that by code."
Yeah.
That's where you've seen it. You've seen it in the comments and stuff too, where we run into that. But this would actually be like a compliant installation in a multi-conductor cable where you just want to identify a switch leg or whatever. But
Okay.
yeah, it's cool, dude. I like it. I recommend it, and like I say, if you guys are worried about getting wires crossed and you don't want just every wire to be red, then use this. You can color them blue too.
Okay. Well, cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a cool thing I ran across, and we use it, and like I say, it's pretty cool.
All right. Okay, man versus machine.
Oh, you're going down, dude.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out, is AI smarter than King James?
So the thing that you'll love about this one is we actually have this situation going on at the job site now. It's pretty crazy, and I don't know, like I'll just give you a little hint that it's in 511.
I think it's 511.10B, I think. 10A, somewhere in there. 6 inches? I think that's right. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's 6.
You are correct. Now let's see what ChatGPT says.
I wasn't 1,000% sure on that. That's something I look at all the time.
The thing that's weird about it is it's in commercial garage repair storage facilities where they're connecting to electric vehicles. So it doesn't apply to other situations, but I don't know.
Let's see what ChatGPT says. "6 feet, completely way off."
6 feet?
Yeah. 511 70B3. Let me go over here and get it from. Give me a second. I'm going to.
Oh man, it's funny because I tell people "Hey, ChatGPT got it wrong." They're like, "Really? Oh, they think it's just the automatic answer all the time." Oh man, that's funny. 6 feet.
Oh, I was
Not even
close. 511.10B3 is where it's at. I had to go look it up to make sure. Okay, that
Yeah, dude, you nailed it though. I don't think you were wrong.
that would be incorrect. Chat GPT. King James once again was correct answering.
Dude, I'll tell you what, your freaking record is freaking impressive. Like that's an impressive record. Like I mean, you're like 117 and like 4 or something like that. Like, it's up there. Like it's 114 and 4 or something like that. Like,
I get lucky every now and then.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's not like we cheated or anything, you know? Like, I always put the slide up in the podcast and you were totally flying blind, you know? It's not like you researched anything or anything like that, you know? And that's what's cool. Like, the reason I wanted to do it was because I want to see what your true knowledge was. I want to see what your true background was. And you didn't try to deviate or cheat or anything like that. You just, all right, if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. If I get it right, I get it right. And I seriously tried as hard as I could to fool you every week.
Look at that. Did you see how long that took? It was going through and it was verifying based on the code if I was right or not.
Uh-huh.
And it says,
What did it say?
Thanks for the correction, James. That's the right site. So it was actually trying to check to see if I was right or not. That's interesting. Wow. That's the first time it's ever done that.
Yeah.
I guess it's tired of losing.
I thought it was going to get it right. I thought ChatGPT was going to actually get it right. But it goes down to, like, I think it's only got right, like, maybe a dozen times, maybe.
I don't think it's
since
got
we've
that
been
many.
doing this. Yeah, like, it's not that many, but, like, just to let everyone know, King James's record is freaking stellar. Like, every code question of the week, with no research, no nothing, me just posing on to him blind, I think you only missed 4 out of like 117 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. So, like, he's like 113 and 4 is his record. And ChatGPT's like not even close to, like.
And the ones that I missed, I was debating between 2 answers, and it was the second answer that was right. So I can't remember if they changed that. I couldn't remember. And those are the ones I missed. But anyway, let's get Wall of Shame, and Connor, we're almost at the hour, brother.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
Here we go.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Dude, I knew you would love this one. This is like one of your favorite ones of all time. Right here. Hello from the other side. I must have knocked 1,000 times, but I hate buried boxes, man. Like every time you're trying to trace something out, whatever, it's a buried box. I hate buried boxes, man. Dude, it pisses me off. Like, when I saw this, I was like, what the heck? Like, somehow they left it open or maybe something. Like, maybe they might have had to cut it open. But I hate that when you're tracing something and I'll get my toner right on the wood and I'll be like, dude, there's a box right there. And they're like, no, there isn't. Whatever. Like, it goes through or whatever.
Wow.
And then they cut it open. And they're like, yep, there it is. And it's like, oh, dude, it drives me crazy. Like, that triggers my OCD right there. I just get so mad about buried boxes. Like, I don't understand why you bury a box.
Well, thank you,
I
Doug
hate-
Volk, for submitting it.
Yep.
Golly.
I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, King James will love this one because it just sets off our sparky senses when
Oh,
we
yeah,
see
it
that,
does.
and we're like, what the heck are you thinking? Like I say, when were you thinking? Like, I wanted to just give a shout out to everybody out there that NFL's starting. We're gonna be doing another podcast called the Monday Morning Coach. When were you thinking starting it? Like 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, after not this coming
Like
Monday,
after
but the
Labor
next.
Day, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
After,
Um.
yeah.
So just a big shout out to all the people that love football. Me and King James, we love to talk football. We are gonna do a football podcast, and it is so much fun. We're gonna talk fantasy. We're gonna talk college, everything. So awesome! I can't wait, dude. I'm so excited about football starting. I might even do like 2 or 3 fantasy leagues as I cover on our podcast. But it's so much fun. It's such a blast. I've been doing mock drafts on my fantasy, and I am so stoked. I can't wait for the season to start. I can't wait to see who's the breakouts. Broncos. I got the Broncos at 10 wins. Where are you at?
I've got the Cowboys 16-0.
What? All right.
Everybody lose their first game. I'm waiting to see what they do this week when they actually put some starters in. They ain't played. They've been playing the scrubs the first 2, and tomorrow night they play at 7. So I'm sort of, when I'm at the pool hall, I'm gonna keep up and see what they're doing. I just got in my new Texas Longhorn Arch Manning jersey, and
Okay.
it's black, and then it's got white sleeves, and then on the back it goes across like this on the back in white, and then everything is trimmed with the SEC logo, Manning's name, the numbers, everything is in burnt orange.
Nice.
It's a good looking. Even Daddy goes, man, that's good looking. I'm gonna wear that 2 weeks now on Monday. So
You're gonna wear it, or your dad's gonna wear it?
I'm wearing it.
All right.
So
right.
I'll be wearing it Saturday too. Before
All
that,
right.
because we got a bunch of people coming over, and I'm gonna make some burrito tacos and chicken tinga tacos, guacamole, cheese sauce,
Okay.
all the good stuff. Everybody's gonna come over and watch the game. So,
Nice.
and
All
speaking
right,
of that,
well-
I better get going. He's ready to go eat.
Just giving you a shout out that everyone give King James a hook 'em horns, and Arch Manning's gonna be like the new man over there. He's got the jersey going on,
I do.
and yeah, wear it on the podcast. We might have to do some cowboy hats and jerseys.
I'll pull my cowboy hat on, have it on too for the first one.
There you go.
Be
All right,
looking
we'll have to do
kick-ass.
that. I might have to go get me a Stetson or something and show you up or something. But
Oh well,
uh,
I actually have a Stetson Black Beauty 100 X. That's what I'll
Okay.
be wearing. So
all right,
I've
Sounds good.
had that hat for 30 years.
I won't copy you or anything. I'm not Daniel. So that's awesome. Make sure you give the love out to everyone. Share this podcast. So much fun. Appreciate you, King James. Thanks so much for everyone joining in. And
I got to
as
stop
always-
for a second. You know what Dad just said?
What's that?
He's ready to go eat. He goes, "What are you gonna do? You gonna flap that mouth all night?"
Oh,
He's already
shit,
talking
damn.
smack to him. He's ready to go eat.
All right. Well, as always, remember, make every day an easy day, and big one finger salute to Pops, and then, oh man, what came in here? A 2-finger salute to Pops, but he better go flap his mouth on some food. But we love you, Pops. We love you guys over there, Stall Cups and everything. So appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy football season kicking off.
There you go.
You know, we ain't got the college kicking off this week, a few games. So everybody enjoy it. In 2 weeks, we'll be kicking that off, and we'll see y'all next Thursday.
Monday Morning Coach coming back. Peace
That's
out.
right. Peace.